Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. So glad to have you along with us. How are you doing? How is life? How are things in the world? We're past the election. Now, as I'm sitting in the studio right now, we don't know all of the results, but what I do know is the sun is still out. The earth is still turning. I felt so bad for my friends, and I have thoughts on how I want things to go as well, but at this point in my life, I have learned to only worry about the things that I have some impact, input, or control over. And when it comes to national politics, all you can do is vote and pray. So I'm not going to get too worked up about something that I can't do anything about. But I'm glad they're over. I really, really am. I'm glad they're over. And life will go on in one form or another. Speaking of things I have no control over, and the list of those is far greater than the things that I can have an impact on. My hunting this fall. I will tell you flat out, I have not seen a deer in the woods while hunting since the early doe season in September. And I know you're going, what? How can that be? Avery, I'm seeing a dozen deer a night. I'm passing up all these small bucks. What's wrong with you? I don't know. I don't know. It's been interesting, that's for sure. We are on a new piece of property that we just got access to in September, so we haven't really figured it out yet. We don't have any real food plots, established food plots on there yet. Earlier in the season, we had that full moon. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on a full moon, but my experience is I do not like hunting big game, whether it's bear or deer, and I suspect elk or anything else, on a full moon. I'm glad that's behind us now. It's been extraordinarily windy. I'm glad to see, and it's calm right now, but wind is supposed to pick up. And now the weather forecast calls for 60s, almost 70 for the next several days. But it is the rut. So you've got some negative factors and you've got one big positive factor. How does that all equate? How will that all work out? I don't know. I don't pretend, obviously, to be a whitetail hunting expert. What I do feel good about is I have been in the tree stand several times this fall working to rekindle my interest in deer hunting, and I can say I've been successful at that. I am interested now. I am enjoying it. Am I passionate about it? Not really, because if I was truly passionate, I would probably be bothered that I haven't had a shot at a big doe yet. And it doesn't bother me in the least. Will I welcome the opportunity if it presents itself? You bet. Will I go out during the firearm season? I suspect I will. The opener is on Sunday, so I won't be out Sunday morning. I suspect I will be out in a tree stand Sunday evening. I think I will, just to say that I participated and I was a part of it. And why do I not care about shooting a deer? Because I am so excited when others get a chance to. And I'm thinking right now about my grandson, Carter. I told you the story last week. As I was in the studio, Carter had hit a big doe the night before we recorded the show, and I didn't want to say too much about it yet because they hadn't recovered her yet while we were on the air. And I thought if this thing goes south, I don't want to make a big deal out of it. Because, listen, as hunters, we've all been there, and we know how frustrating and just heartbreaking that can be, especially for a kid on his first deer. Listening to the story later, and I wasn't with Carter. He was with his other grandpa, Papa Guy. The doe was quartered slightly towards him. Now, you might remember Carter had been shooting a compound and shooting it very well, but he was only pulling 31 pounds. And I don't think legally that's even enough weight to legally be hunting with it. But ethically, it really wasn't enough oomph behind there, kinetic energy, if you want to be precise, to put a real good shot on a deer. I had been thinking that, but I was waiting for the right time to bring it up. Carter was down in my storage room in the basement one day. He came back up and he says, "Grandpa, do you know you have 3 crossbows hanging up down there?" And I thought, okay, all right, he's I know where this is going, and he's made the decision himself without us having to talk him into it. So he took one of my dart and crossbows. We set it up. He shot it. He was a good shot with it. He went out with his papagayi. The next day, he made that shot on the doe. They didn't recover it that night. I was tied up in a meeting, so I couldn't help them. I don't think they needed any help. They were, the job was in good hands. I talked to Carter that night. He was just like, "Grandpa, I don't think we're going to get her." I said, "Carter, it's a cool night. It's a cold night at that point. I saw, the arrow. She's dead. I just have to keep looking for her." Well, his dad went out the next day, found the doe laying there. They texted a picture of the doe to Carter while he was sitting in class. He couldn't look at it because he was in class. They went down to the principal and says, "Please tell Carter to check his phone." So they got her. Carter said, "Grandpa, I think I want to do something with this deer. Always in the past, I've never had a say with how anybody has processed a deer." And he shouldn't, because it wasn't his deer and he wasn't paying for it. This time, he said, "This is my deer, and I want to have this made up into what I like." And I said, "What do you want?" He said, "I really like summer sausage, and I would like some jerky." Fair enough. So as soon as I get out of the studio today, I'm going to meet Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats, and I'm going to take him this boned-out deer, this venison, and we're going to have Michigan Brand make it into some summer sausage and some jerky. And Carter is just ecstatic. And see, this is what I love about this history and tradition of this outdoor lifestyle, and in particular deer hunting. Even though I haven't seen a deer or shot a deer, it's okay, because my grandson Carter and then earlier my granddaughter Addison both took deer. Trent's out there working on a deer. He'll shoot a deer before the end of the season. I would rather have those kids harvest a deer, experience it, have a say in the processing, and complete this cycle of working before season to sharpen their shooting skills, going out during the season, making a good shot on an animal, putting that animal down, having to work for the recovery, recovering the animal, and then being able to eat the venison from that deer afterwards. You talk about a full cycle. That's it. And if I went the rest of my life and never shot another deer, if I had to make a decision, okay, your grandkids are going to take some more deer, Avery, but you're never going to shoot another one. Okay. All right. Fine. But the fact that I'm out there enjoying the experience, it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good. Speaking of Michigan Brand, Wednesday Night Live now, if you're not familiar with that is something I do every Wednesday night on my social media outlets, including Mike Avery Outdoors on Facebook, Mike Avery Outdoors on YouTube, and Avery Outdoors on Twitter. Every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, this is Eastern, if you're listening to the podcast outside of the Michigan time zone, Eastern, I do a Wednesday Night Live. It's about 45 minutes. It gets you and I a chance to interact more than we can on the radio show or the podcast. And we will start this week giving away Michigan Brand hams. It's called Ham for the Holidays. Get it? Ham for the holidays. Get it? All right. If I have to point it out, it's not very good. I realize that. We're going to do this every Wednesday night now, right on through New Year's. And you'll have a chance to win one of those really tasty Michigan Brand hams. Making progress on my truck, that 2021 Silverado. Beautiful machine from my friends at Garber Chevrolet. I took it down to Sign Image in Saginaw to have the graphics package put on it. Now, let me be completely straightforward. This is a beautiful truck to begin with. Absolutely beautiful. All the bells and whistles, all the electronics, a big 6.2 engine, yet it gives me better mileage. I love this truck, but I wanted to set it apart a little bit. Last year, the folks at Sign Image had come up with a graphics, 2 years ago, a graphic package for me after all I did was just sketch it out by hand. Said, here's kind of what I'm looking at. The professionals got a hold of it, made it into a beautiful graphics package. So by the time you hear this show, that graphics package will be complete. Next week, I'll go over to Suspension Max in Bay City to have a leveling kit put under the truck. Now, I'm not a big fan, as much as I love all these new trucks today, all the new trucks from any of the manufacturers. They're all beautiful. I don't like the way they come out of the factory nose down. They look like they're driving downhill down the road, and I don't like that. And now I know there's a reason for it. Is it a mileage thing? Is it a safety thing? I don't know. I like a truck to be leveled. I like the front end to be as high as the rear end. I like to bring it up a little bit. I just think it looks better, plus it allows me to put bigger tires under it. So I'll head to Suspension Max in Bay City. I'll have them put a leveling kit under it, and then I'll head up to Cullen to have Mike at Mike's Tire Sales put the biggest 20, they're on 20-inch rims, the biggest tires we can fit under that thing. And then all will be good with the world. Hey, congrats to my friend David Martin and his wife Chrissy. I was blessed to perform the wedding ceremony for those guys last weekend. Congrats on that. Thank you for allowing me to be part of that. Coming up on this week's show, Cody Norton from the DNR, talking about the delisting of wolves at the federal level. What's next? David Halachukas talking about a possible Fred Bear statue in Grayling. Eric Peterson of West Michigan Whitetail Tracking, Nick Green from MUCC, Mark Spencer talking about trapping. Wild Game Chef Dave Miner will not be joining us. He's unavailable. But all that and lots more coming up this week right here on Outdoor Magazine. Ground blinds are a great option for hunters. They're safe, protect you from the weather, and they hide your movements. And the new see-through blinds take ground hunting to the next level because you can see out, but the game can't see in. Until now, you've had to pay a lot of money for that feature, but not anymore. Primal Tree Stand's new Wraith 270 see-through blind is just $200 if you go to OutdoorPregame.com and use the promo code Mike20. The Wraith 270 features 270 degrees of visibility, silent slide windows, and it weighs just 16 pounds. It's lighter and less expensive than the competition. To get yours at the discounted price, go to the website OutdoorPregame.com. That's OutdoorPregame.com and use the promo code Mike20. That'll drop the price to just $200. Again, go to OutdoorPregame.com, use the promo code Mike20, and you can get a new Wraith 270 see-through blind for just $200. I think you're going to thank me for this one. You know, it's always a pleasure for me to find new businesses to work with, and this time I want to tell you about a company I used to put graphics on my new Silverado. Sign Image in Saginaw did a great job in coming up with a design for my truck, and they did a very professional job of installing the wrap as well. I started out with a hand-sketched idea of what I wanted, and the folks at Sign Image took it from there. The truck looks great, and I'm getting lots of compliments. But Sign Image does more than just wrap vehicles. They're a full-service graphics shop, and they specialize in signs and electronic message centers. In fact, they were voted the best sign company in Michigan 3 years running. To learn more about Sign Image, check out their website. It's signimage1.com. That's signimage1.com. On that website, you can see examples of their work, including a picture of my truck. Again, the website signimage1.com.
It's a complicated world we live in. Right about now, I'll bet your head is spinning like a tornado with news and opinions and conflicting do this and don't do that recommendations. Some days, you just want to throw up your hands, go to the woods, and stay there. And you know, that's not a bad idea. Jay's Sporting Goods encourages you to get back to your roots. Do some simple, traditional things for a while. In Michigan's great outdoors, space is one thing we have plenty of. So put as much social distance as you like between you and everyone else, including all your social media pals who somehow just recently became experts on every topic. And one more thing. Before you head out, head into Jay's Sporting Goods. Because even though there are shortages of a lot of things these days, Jay's has just what you need to make the most of your escape to our beautiful wide open spaces. It's the gateway to social distancing the way God intended. Jay's Sporting Goods, Clare and Gaylord.
Hey, you like to hunt for different game in changing conditions, but it can be expensive to buy hunting clothes in every pattern. Well, now there's a way to change your camo without breaking the bank. With VersaSkins, you can buy one set of hunting clothes and change the pattern to suit your surroundings. You can switch from whitetail to waterfowl, blaze orange, and snow camo by just snapping on a new skin. Plus, VersaSkins keep you warm, dry, and protect you from the elements. To learn more, check out the website versaskins.com. VersaSkins, just change the skin for the season you're in.
When you buy a Michigan hunting or fishing license, you're helping to fund conservation efforts across the state. The majority of funding for taking care of Michigan's fish and wildlife comes from you, hunters and anglers, not state taxes. So on behalf of the Michigan Wildlife Council, we'd like to thank you for your part in ensuring that Michigan's hunting and fishing heritage will be here for generations. Learn how the Michigan Wildlife Council promotes the role of hunting and fishing at hereformioutdoors.org.
You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Traverse City on WTCM. It's 580 AM. You can hear us in Muskegon on WKBZ 1090 AM. And north of the bridge in Ishpeming, WIAN 1240 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Michigan-based Boning. Boning has been a leader in the archery industry since 1946. You know what that means? 2021 is their 75th anniversary. How cool is that? How impressive is that? Now, unfortunately, there's no Archery Trade Association show this year to really allow the folks at Boning to kick this off and celebrate it, but they have a bunch of celebrations planned, a lot of it virtually, and I'm going to do everything I can to support a Michigan-based company that's been around for 75 years since Ben Eastman and Fred Bear were innovators. Well, that's when Roland Boning started Boning Archery as well. These days, they continue to innovate, come up with new products for target archers and bow hunters. Check them out online. It's boning.com, B-O-H-N-I-N-G, boning.com. While you're online, please check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And if you're looking for something outdoor related, Michigan.gov/DNR. The DNR's website is full of information. They revamped it a couple of years ago now. It's pretty easy to navigate, and there's all kinds of information. The reason I'm talking about DNR is since we last talked, wolves have been delisted at the federal level. Now, a lot of people thought along the way that the reason we didn't have a Michigan wolf hunt is because the DNR didn't want it. Well, it was out of the DNR's hands. It was in the hands of the feds. They've now been delisted, and in theory, if the DNR and the NRC get behind it, we could have a Michigan wolf hunt. Will it happen in 2021? No. But it could be coming. Cody Norton is a guy who knows Michigan wolves and predators probably as well as anybody. It's his job in the DNR to keep track of them. And he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Cody, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, Mike. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Listen, when I talked with you the other day, you were in a tree stand. How's your season going so far?
Yeah, well, actually took my first Western trip out to Wyoming and was able to harvest a mule deer. So I've only sat 3 times in Michigan, but hoping to meet up with one here in Michigan too.
What mule deer hunting? Is it similar to whitetail hunting, or is it a whole different experience?
It was pretty different. I mean, especially in the UP, especially in the northern UP. I mean, it's your farthest shot at a deer might be 50, 100 yards, and out there, getting prepped for it, we were shooting out to 400, and it was kind of a new experience for us, but we had a lot of fun. Obviously, everything's open. You're hunting sage flats and crazy elevation and packing the deer out after you harvested it. It was a lot different, but a lot of fun. Just going to a new area and getting your feet wet and trying to figure out a new animal.
Have you had a chance to eat any of that muley yet? My question or concern has always been, man, if all they eat is sagebrush, it's going to taste like sage. Have you had the experience yet?
I haven't yet. I've got it all butchered and in the freezer. I'm still waiting for CWD results before
that's right.
dive into it. But I'm excited to give it a try. I don't know if I might have had it a long time ago in something, but I'm excited to actually cook it up myself and yeah, I've heard mixed reviews that it's the best and that it's not good at all. So we'll see.
Well, congrats on the muley. Good luck on a whitetail. Let's talk about wolves here a little bit now. Your thoughts, and I realize you're not a policymaker, you're a field guy, but I'm curious about your thoughts with the delisting at the federal level.
Sure. So, I mean, the DNR, and we support wolf delisting in Michigan. We know that our wolf population has recovered. We have a wolf management plan in place that's going to guide state management of wolves. It is important to keep in mind, though, that, you know, it was last Thursday the Fish and Wildlife Service announced that they were going to be delisting wolves, and then they published their final rule, which is kind of the document that spells that out, yesterday on the 3rd. So right in that rule, it states that it'll be 60 days from that date when they actually come off the list. So that'll be January 4th. So state management won't take place or resume until that time.
Oh yeah, there's no way in the world with everything else that's going on that we could have a wolf hunt in the winter of 2021, is there?
No, absolutely not.
When you say, I've heard this term before, that a population, in this case a wolf population, has recovered. What does that mean?
Sure. So we've been obviously monitoring wolves for a long time in Michigan, and there are established federal recovery goals and state recovery goals, and our federal goal. One of those goals was that Michigan and Wisconsin would have a minimum population of 100 wolves. We met that back in the winter of 1993 to 1994, and our state delisting goal was to have a minimum sustainable population of 200 wolves for 5 consecutive years, and we achieved that back in 2004. So over the last 9 years, our population estimate has been stable. You know, the population continued to increase since we met those goals and is now stabilized. They're found throughout the Upper Peninsula. The population has recovered.
So what's the number? What's the number you guys are using on the UP wolf population?
Yeah, so our latest survey was conducted last winter, and so our estimate, it's a minimum population estimate, which is important to keep in mind. It's when the population is at the lowest point in its annual cycle, and it's a conservative estimate, but that was 695 wolves, and those wolves were in 143 different packs.
So 3 times higher, at least, over what we need to be considered recovered.
Yes. Yep.
So let me ask you this, Cody. As a DNR wildlife biologist who works with wolves, I'm going to ask you a straightforward question that I don't know if there's a simple answer to or not. Do we have too many wolves in the UP?
That's a good question, Mike. And I think anyone you ask is probably you'll get a lot of different answers out of that. I mean, we know that we have a stable population. We know that we still have, we still have good numbers of deer. That although some folks might contest that, what level is desired or perfect, or what would you like to see? But obviously, we still have those prey populations. We have wolves. We have a stable population of wolves. I don't think there's, they've become a part of our suite of animals up here, and they're here to stay.
But you guys at the coming out of Lansing at the top levels, the department does support a wolf hunt. Is a plan in place for if and when you get the go ahead? Are the structures, the guidelines, the rules for a wolf hunt in place, or would you go back to the 1 year that we had the limited wolf hunt a few years ago and use those guidelines?
Yeah, we're not really sure, Mike. We do, obviously, in our wolf management plan, we do have strategic guidance for what a public harvest could look like, either with assisting with, managing wolf-related conflicts like that hunt was back in 2013, or there's also consideration in there for having a public harvest for recreational or utilitarian purposes. But ultimately, any decision to have any sort of public harvest rests with the Natural Resources Commission. They have the exclusive authority to regulate taking of any fish and game in the state. So the DNR can make recommendations about public harvest, but the decisions are going to rest with the NRC.
Sure.
And the DNR's standpoint is that before any sort of wolf harvest should be considered, there's a few things that need to take place. One being that the legal status of wolves needs to be more permanently settled. We've got a long history of legal challenges to delisting decisions in Michigan and most of the country, which has resulted in wolves going from federal protections to state management and back. So we really feel that should be more permanently settled before anything's considered. Also, we think our wolf management plan should be updated. We are going to try to kick that off with a new public attitude survey this winter, which is basically we try to update the plan every 5 years, and having a new public attitude survey to understand Michigan citizens' perceptions on wolves and wolf management is going to be an important part of that. And then, of course, we also need to be consulting with our federally recognized tribal governments in Michigan as well before considering any sort of potential harvest.
I'm glad that you'll be getting some public input on this. I think that's necessary, but I also find it interesting because going back to the Professional Wildlife Management Act, we gave you guys authority to do things based on sound scientific wildlife management policies and practices. And so what role does the public input play in this, Cody?
That's a good question, Mike, and I think that's something that a lot of people have a hard time grasping sometimes. It's just that, we can use the science to try to achieve management goals, but in determining what those goals are, we really need public input. I'm sorry. If we're looking at deer hunting or deer numbers, you can have a healthy population that could be at the high end of the spectrum for deer numbers, could be at the low end of the spectrum for deer numbers. It really comes down to what people want, and what they're going to be satisfied with and what they'd like to get out of it. Not just hunters, but also the farmers who have, deer depredation issues in their crops. It's really important, and for setting those goals that you then work to through science-based management, you really need that public input to figure out where you're going and what that goal is at the end of the tunnel. Time
continues to fly for me, and I can't believe it was 2013 when we actually had that one very limited hunt. So it's been a while now.
It has, yes.
Cody, listen, we got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show, but I want to talk a little bit more about wolves and what a wolf hunt might look like, et cetera. And I want to check in with you, too. You and I have had some nice discussions about bear hunting in Michigan, too, so I want to see how our Michigan bear hunt. If you can give me a few more minutes, can you hang around?
Yep.
Excellent. We're talking with Cody Norton of the DNR. He is a wildlife biologist for the department, and he has the very, very cool job of keeping an eye on our big top-tier predators, wolves, bears, mountain lions, also called cougars, puma. What else are they called? Great big cats. And we got them all in Michigan. Maybe not the numbers that some people think, but I think it's a very cool job. So we have to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. We'll wrap up the conversation with Cody, and then we'll wrap up the hour with Dave Halachukas talking about the concept of a new monument to Fred Bear, the father of modern-day archery, right here in Grayling, coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK 105.7 FM. You can hear us in Battle Creek on WBCK 95.3 FM. And let's go north of the bridge. Let's go to Marquette. WDMJ 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina. Linwood Beach Marina can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination and your Mid-Michigan Tracker and Angler Quest headquarters. For more info, check them out online at linwoodbeachmarina.com. That's linwoodbeachmarina.com. We're talking now with Cody Norton of the DNR. Cody is the the guy who works very closely with top-tier predators, wolves, bears, cougars, mountain lions. And we're talking about the wolf delisting at the federal level and how that might affect us here in Michigan. Cody, looking back to that first hunt in 2013, a very limited, very highly regulated, kind of a trial run to see how it might go. And it was surprising. You know, people said, oh, it's going to be a slaughter. Hunters didn't even reach the quota that the DNR had set for that hunt. No,
they didn't, which I think, yeah, it might have been somewhat eye-opening. Obviously, that hunt in 2013 was only hunting. You know, in the wolf management plan, it does, you know, address hunting and trapping in there. Obviously, trapping was not allowed in 2013, but yeah, we had a quota of 43 wolves. We issued about 1,200 licenses, and only 22 wolves were actually harvested.
Well, you're a step ahead of me because that's where I was going with the trapping. If we got serious about, you know, taking out wolves, I think if that hunt was if that season was opened up to trappers, I think they could get the job done.
Yeah, I think if you look at other states and other agencies, trapping definitely is an effective way of harvesting wolves. Obviously, we use research trapping for collaring wolves, and it can be a very effective technique.
You get to interact on a very personal level with these wolves in the UP. You know, everybody has strong thoughts one way or another on wolves. They either love them or they hate them. I think it's unfortunate that people tend to romanticize these critters without having any real firsthand knowledge of them. I mean, you study them, you work with them, you've handled them. What's that like? How big is an average Michigan wolf? What's their temperament? Are they killing machines like people say? How do you characterize them, Cody?
Sure. I mean, it kind of depends on how old they are and what their behavior is. At least, you know, when you get one in a trap or on the ground, you know, you can walk up to a yearling wolf and it'll cower down, and you could just about take the trap off its foot a lot of times without barely grabbing it with a catch pole or a Y pole. But then you can get some, you know, the top dogs in their pack, the alphas, and some of them kind of greet you at the end of the chain. So it kind of just depends on how old they are, how dominant they are in their pack structure, how confident they are. But you know, most of our wolves we see, depending on if they're male or female, probably in the 70 to 80 pound range. We have had some get, you know, over 100 pounds that we've weighed. I think the heaviest one maxed out a scale that went to 120. So you certainly can get, you know, pretty large, dominant individuals, but for the most part, they're more in the 70 to 80 range. If you look at their frame, though, it's more comparable to a heavier dog, but they run or, you know, lope all day. So they're like Olympic athletes. They don't have hardly an ounce of fat on them, especially in the spring or summer when we're typically handling them. So they're, yeah, like you said, I mean, there's romanticism about them or things like that, you know, in both directions, whether to make you love them or hate them more. But they're an animal. They're out there trying to survive, trying to find something to eat. And that's kind of, when you interact with them, I guess that's what you see.
Looking back on the bear season, is it too early to have any numbers? Do you have a sense of how our Michigan bear season went this year?
Yeah, so we won't have our preliminary harvest numbers until about the first week of December, which is typical for us. We have about 1,000 paper registrations still to be entered. So that's going to be kind of a mad dash to the end, trying to get those entered before our bear forum meeting and other tribal meetings, and before any recommendations go to the NRC. But in general, it's been a really positive season. Everything we've been hearing and talking with check stations, we've been hearing, like in the northern lower peninsula, we had good hunting weather. Mast reports early were kind of spotty, but they ended up, we heard that it turned out pretty great. Good number of bears, looks like comparable to last year, probably in Red Oak, maybe similar in Baldwin. The Gladwin office checked a few less bears than in previous years, but with COVID and with changes in our check stations, we really don't know where those bears were registered and how that'll all shake out. But up in the UP, at least initially, looking at just check station numbers, it looks like pretty much all the units are similar to what they were or above last year, except maybe Amasa. Looks like they might be down just slightly. But it's been really good. Newberry, where you were hunting this year, right?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you one guy who didn't get a bear, and he still had a great hunt.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but yeah, the Newberry unit looks like it appears like it might be up a decent amount from last year, which is nice to see. We've backed off on harvest there a little bit in the past. And
Cody, listen, I sorry to interrupt you, but I got to let you go. Always a pleasure. We'll keep an eye on the wolf situation. I know we're ways off from having a Michigan wolf hunt, but I appreciate your input. We'll take a break. Dave Halachuk is coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine after the break.
At Garber Chevrolet in Midland, Saginaw, Linwood, Caro, and now Chesaning. We're better for a reason. Like Garber's low price guarantee. Get incredible everyday low prices on a new Chevy Equinox, Silverado, Traverse, or Trax. Think you found a better deal somewhere else? Bring it to us, and we will beat it. Getting more options and choices is always better. And Garber's combined inventory is the Great Lakes Bay region's largest selection of new Chevrolets. Browse online at GarberChevrolet.com. Then use our Buy From Home feature to purchase entirely online. And Garber Chevrolet's customer service is in a class of its own. We always put your needs first. Better prices, better selection. There's a reason why you'll do better at Garber Chevrolet in Midland, Saginaw, Linwood, Caro, and now Chesaning. Home of the low price guarantee. Online at GarberChevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You'll do better at Garber.
Have you tried the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks from Michigan Brand Meats? They feature two of my favorites, elk and pepper, and I think they taste great. I've been working with the Grillo family of Michigan Brand for a few years now, and I couldn't be happier. Michigan Brand is family-owned and based right here in Michigan, and they make lots of great products. From jerky, sausage, and those Hunter Sticks to their famous Michigan Brand hams, you can't go wrong with Michigan Brand meats. Plus, Michigan Brand can process your boned-out wild game, too. Check out the website, MichiganBrand.net, for more info. That's MichiganBrand.net. You can buy the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks on that website. Plus, you can get them at Jay's Sporting Goods, all Forward convenience stores, Jack's Fruit Markets, and many other great stores, too. There's a complete list on the website. Again, that's MichiganBrand.net for the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks, the outstanding Michigan Brand hams, and lots more. MichiganBrand.net. Security Credit Union wants to thank you for helping to make them one of Michigan's fastest growing credit unions. Check out Security's Debit Rewards program, where you can earn points just by using your debit or Titanium Rewards credit card. Redeem those points for great gifts and merchandise. Or how about the Save to Win account? That's a Security Credit Union account that gives you all the benefits of a traditional savings account, plus the chance to win big. Every $25 you deposit into this share certificate earns you an entry into the monthly and quarterly drawings. The more you save, the more chances to earn. Up to 10 entries per month. You'll build up your savings, earn interest and dividends, and have a chance at multiple prizes. And remember, Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. Federally insured by the NCUA. The folks at Yider Insurance Group know you have lots of money invested in your hunting and fishing gear, and they want you to be protected. The Yider family has been in the insurance business for more than 75 years, and they build a reputation for taking great care of their customers. As a full-service agency featuring auto owners insurance, Yider can insure your fishing and hunting gear, your boat, snowmobile, ATV, and trailer, just about everything you depend on for your outdoor adventures. Yider also specializes in protecting outdoor-related businesses, From fishing guides to shooting ranges, anything for the great outdoors. The folks at Yider can help you because they're hunters and anglers themselves, and they know what we need from an insurance company. For more info, go to their website, huntingandfishinginsurance.com. That's huntingandfishinginsurance.com. Or call them toll free at 800-975-6473. I trust the Yider Group and auto owners for all my insurance needs. Because with Yider and auto owners, you've got friends in the outdoor insurance business.
All I can do is laugh. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. You can hear us on great affiliates across the great state of Michigan, including WKYO in Caro, that's 1360 AM. Also in Caro, WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Manistee, WMLQ 97.7 FM. And how about let's go to Sandusky, WMIC 660 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Great Lakes Charter Training. If you've ever wanted to be a licensed captain, I'm confident this is your best option. Now, by licensed captain, I don't just mean a charter boat, a fishing charter, which you do have to be licensed for that. But dive boats, tourist boats, sailing excursions, river cruises, whatever. If you want to take people on the water for hire, you have to be licensed. And the governing agency for that isn't really the DNR, although they inspect your boats, but it's the U.S. Coast Guard who grants the captain's license. It is, in my opinion, a fairly tough thing to go through, and it should be. The classes are long. They cover a lot of information. The test is hard. And then you have to jump through an awful lot of hoops as far as paperwork. But, you don't want somebody going about this in a haphazard way, and you want somebody to be committed to the process and committed to the end goal. So I think it's a good idea. The point is, I could not have done this on my own. It is possible. You can study online and you can take the test, and maybe you can do it on your own. I would not have been able to, and most of the people I talk to aren't able to do it on their own either. So you try to find some kind of a school that will allow you to do it. GLC training, Great Lakes Charter Training, is, I think, the way to go. Captain Mel Stackpool runs the classes. Captain John Littlefield gave me my actual testing and training as well. They are doing a series of tests, a series of classes. These are multi-day classes around the state, and in fact across the country. But if you want to learn more about where and when, go to the website glctraining.com. That's glctraining.com, and check it out. I highly recommend these guys. If it's something you wanted to do, if this is a dream of yours, maybe wintertime slows down for you, you got a little bit extra time, check them out, glctraining.com. We will not be talking about the topic that I thought we were going to be talking about in this segment. Yeah. I had a situation where a guy was on me pretty hard to talk about a particular subject, and I agreed to do it and give him some airtime on a statewide radio show. And at the last minute, he said, "No, we can't talk about it." Little word of advice: if you're going to approach me and you want help in exposing something, and I set the time aside, make sure you're ready to talk about it before we pull the trigger on it. And it doesn't make me very happy at all. But we'll move on, right? We'll move on. Talking with Cody Norton of the DNR on wolves. And I will talk more about this on this week's Ask Avery segment, the concept of a wolf hunt. I do find it interesting that wolves are such a polarizing critter. How do we as humans allow an animal to have that kind of an effect on us? Because there's no middle road on this, right? People either absolutely hate wolves
Or on the other side, they're the anti-hunters who absolutely love wolves. Now, I think I'm down the middle. I respect them. I think they're very cool critters. I have hunted them, but I do think we have too many of them. But it's going to be a long time before we have a wolf hunt in Michigan because the antis are going to come out of the woodwork on this. We know they are. They do every time the concept gets brought up. Anytime a wildlife or a hunting issue comes up, look at the dove hunt. Remember? We had a dove hunt in Michigan, right? Remember that? We had a dove hunt in Michigan. The powers that be in Lansing had the guts pushed by hunters to come up and go ahead with a dove hunt. And then the antis came unglued. They fought it. They went to court. They came out from underneath their rocks. They spent a bunch of money. They fought it. And we as hunters did not support it. Because the dove hunting lobby in Michigan wasn't very big. Nobody had hunted doves before. So the deer hunters said, yes, we'll let the dove hunters be our sacrificial lamb. The bear hunter said, well, as long as they don't go after us. The small game hunter said, well, yeah, as long as they're not coming after us, it's all okay. And so we didn't stand behind the dove hunt, and we lost it, and it'll never come back. We will never see a dove hunt in Michigan because we let it go. Sandhill crane hunt. The feds have said we can have one. The DNR says we can have one, although they also say that they don't have the resources right now or the, and these are my words, the will to fight for one because of everything else that's going on, because of the antis. You know, there's good and bad in everything, right? A wolf is not a bad critter just because he's a wolf. If you have too many of them, it's bad, right? But on the other hand, a wolf is not some, at least in most cultures, is not some sacred animal that should be revered and never touched, although I realize in some cultures it is. Sandhill cranes, doves, deer, bear, I don't care what it is. You've got to manage the wildlife populations. And a wolf hunt in Michigan would be a great way to do that. I hope that we have one. It won't be in 2021. We'll talk more about that at the end of our second hour of this week's Ask Avery segment right here on Outdoor Magazine.